Another Mike Norvell, quarterback casualty. Can Florida State recover? How do they go about doing it? One or two quarterbacks? There are so many different ways to look at this. Let's talk Florida State football.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I'm your host, Brian Smith, along with my guy, Jeremy, from Rock and Knowles channel. We're going to be talking all things Florida State quarterback today, and thank you for stopping in, making this your first listen. We are brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to get in on the action all season long, just check out FanDuel and place your live NFL bets all the way through the playoffs. We're going to be talking about whether or not Kevin Sperry really gets his shot. That's going to be a theme throughout the show, but really want to dive into that later on. Colton Joseph and other top-notch quarterbacks, are they really options, or is Florida State going another route? Which brings us into this question. One quarterback or two from the portal, depending on how they want to spend their money. And first, let's just break it down. Mike Norvell, another high school quarterback recruit, becomes a casualty of the Mike Norvell system. Brock Glenn hits the transfer portal. Give him credit. He hung around for a few years, just didn't work out. He didn't even get really mentioned this year. Like, Kevin Sperry passed him in about 2 seconds. That's I think Sperry could be the first guy that's a high school quarterback recruit that Norvell and co have brought in that has a chance to be a really good guy. But Jeremy, thoughts on Brock Glenn transferring? Were you surprised, or were you surprised actually it didn't happen sooner?
Definitely sooner. It just shows how loyal this young man is. He's been saying how much he just loves Florida State, and that's the only reason he stayed for this year. So no, I wasn't surprised, because at some point he does want to try to play. I mean, people forget he was committed to Ohio State at one point. So no, I was not surprised at all, and he's somebody I just wish nothing but the best for. He got a raw deal at Florida State.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I don't know where he'll go. He's from the state of Tennessee. I have no idea, but Brock Glenn is no longer going to be a Florida State Seminole, which brings up the following. Well, again, we're going to come through this several times. We'll get it from several different angles, but Kevin Sperry will be a sophomore, and incoming freshman will be Jaden O'Neal. Big quarterback. He's originally from California, played his last year at Mustang, Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City. They've got enough talent between those two. That's a good start, to be honest with you, but there's no veteran. So I'm just going to throw out a couple of things. Obviously, the portal era, NIL and all that. Luke Cromahawk left last year. He went to Mississippi State. He's back in the portal. I have no idea what's going to happen with him. Maybe he'll find a home. But look, Florida State's in an awkward spot. You can't go into a season, no matter what eligibility they have, with two quarterbacks. That's not going to get it. And secondarily, you have basically zero experience. But the third thing, and this is the touchy one because of the instant gratification of the portal and instant ability to play somewhere else, if you bring in a veteran, do you tick off the younger? Like, there is not a good situation for Florida State now, but they did create it. So my question for you here is this something that's even tenable? Like, is there any way out of this unless it's just pot luck? Because I've went through this in my mind about 20 different ways, and I'll ask a few more questions as we get into the show. But, like, have you thought about this in general? Like, this could really go sideways quickly. Because unless they just take a one-and-done portal guy, I mean, and you could do that, but even that's not a lock to make it work for Kevin Sperry, and then you're back in that same boat because everybody wants to play right away. That's the problem with quarterback that everybody has, honestly.
No, I agree. They created this mess. I mean, first and foremost. Kevin Sperry can't be sold on come back and be the backup next year and play a little bit, lose another year of eligibility, like what happened to Brock.
Mm-hmm.
You have to watch what happened to Brock, how Brock wasted 2 years in a sense. So it's a great question. Remember, you forget Jalen King also is at the portal as well. So they've created a mess. There's no way you can get two portal quarterbacks. It's hard enough to get one. I think they've created a mess. I think you give Sperry a chance, especially that you've given Mike a longer rope.
The only way I think you can take two is if one of them is basically just a guy that knows he's not going to play much, if at all. Like if he's from the Ivy League or something like And that's fine. And I would honestly welcome that. Take somebody, maybe it's a 1-year guy or somebody that's going to compete against Sperry and O'Neal. Then the other one, you need 4 quarterbacks to run your practices, like to do your scout team and all that. Like 4 is the minimum. You really need 5 or 6 because guys get hurt. You got to be able to run scout team, and it's got to be a good look for the first and second team units that rotate in. So there's a lot of things that go into this. My next question, are you okay if Florida State, I've got Colton Joseph, for those of you listening on audio, on my YouTube page on the sidebar here, I've got a question mark next to the name Colton Joseph. He's the hotshot quarterback at Old Dominion that's in the portal. Florida State, Florida, Wisconsin, and numerous other programs have inquired about Colton. He would fit Gus Malzahn's system very, very well. If they got him, I don't know how well that's going to work because he has 2 years of eligibility.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's only played 2 seasons. He's from I think he's from Newport Beach or something just outside of LA. He's got 2 years, and he's not the most accurate passer. He's around 60%. He's decent, but he's a freak athlete. Like he ran for 1,007 yards. He ran for 179 against Indiana. Like that's since Signetti's been there, that's the highest ranked rusher against the Hoosiers in 2 years. That's impressive. But does that run off your younger guys? Because if he played 1 year, he was a lock. He's like going into his 3rd year, like a Bryce Underwood, he's going to turn pro. Like CJ Carter next year, he's probably going to turn pro. Like that's different. This guy may not be a pro, but a hell of a college guy, which is good for FSU short term. But if he gets hurt, one of the guys bails. Yeah, you're right back in that same boat. So that's why I just keep coming back to this question: how is it even tenable? Like, because you're guessing at some point, because the kid can always change his mind. Even if he tells guys, you know what, go ahead and do that. I'll compete with him. As soon as kids have to sit, they don't do well in today's era. And they never have. Even going back to the 80s, you can track what other team you want. The majority of guys bail. That's just the way it is. So next question here. Would you rather take a 1-year guy that's just okay, maybe not the Colton Joseph level, and spend the rest of the money that you were going to use on a top-notch quarterback, Joseph or whoever, dump it on O-line, D-line, linebacker, something like that? I'm a little bit more of that and just go with Sperry. That's my philosophy. I don't know if Florida State's looking at it that way. Honestly, I really don't know. What do you think?
I would rather go the Sperry route. Now, what's interesting with Sperry is he was brought in as kind of a project.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like he's a high level, big time recruit, and he better be on the field by year 2 or he's out of here. So you might have a little bit of ability to sell him on waiting 1 more year. I don't know how well that's going to work, but I would rather go that route because we have so many holes to fill. It's not like we're not that team. We're not like Miami who just needed that quarterback and they're set. And I hate using them as an example, but yeah, I'd rather spread the wealth in that regard.
For people that don't know, I think this is an extremely important barometer. We'll get into it in the next segment, but this is something I want you to think about. The Mestamaker kid that's at North Texas allegedly turned down $3.5 million to go to Indiana. Now, he's really good. He led the FBS in passing yards, 4,100. The dude can spin it. But Jeremy, $3.5 million, he's turning it down. This gives me pause about what Florida State's able to do anyway, because you can't go dump $3 to $5 million in a quarterback on a roster you're not going to the playoff. You know what I mean?
And didn't Pete Thamel say during the pre-show the other night that the market is starting at 5?
Well, like for the elite, there's 2 or 3 guys. The kid, I always forget his name, that's at Cincinnati. He's going to go to Tech. His girlfriend already transferred to Texas Tech. Like, oh, come on, we can figure this out. That might be, and he might be the safest guy in the portal. But barring, Sam Levitt and a few others, there are some guys in that $3.5, $4 million range. I don't know how many will go over that. And I don't know how many details we'll really get either. But even paying 2.5 even for Florida State this year, is it a great investment?
No,
I don't think it is either. So we're going to discuss that and how Florida State should allocate their funds with NIL here next on Locked On Seminoles. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Why betting is best: when the game starts to shift, a receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action all season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Thank you once again for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club. Just go down to the description, hit the link. You can get your audio on the go without any ads. We've got a Discord and more. Just check out the description below. Let's talk a little bit about the NIL game with Florida State here. This is the shell game in a way. Like you're a little kid, you're following the peanut. That's what this is. The administration, we're going to talk about this almost every episode until next season. It's just true in some way, shape, or form. They're saying, hey, we're going to compete. But how is it you're going to compete this year? Like, even if they had Texas Tech's money, I'm not sure how much you would compete, because we've seen what happens when you put a bunch of expensive guys together. The locker room either goes, hell yeah, or get out of here. Like we saw it in 23 would be one way good, and then in 24, one way bad.
It's true.
So I think it's better to build slowly. Sperry, like you and I agree, Jeremy, at quarterback, Chroma at running back, Danzy at receiver, etc. Freshmen and sophomores, guys like that. And there's several others on the team. They had, the Sear twins, etc. They need to do that. And on top of it, I want them to dump or allocate, if you will, much of their NIL efforts into the high school and junior college ranks for this next class of 27. This class is actually pretty decent. They just signed, especially coming off 5 wins. Like, to be honest, I'm quite surprised. It's way better than I thought it would be. To that end, are we going to see them go all in anywhere? Because like O-line's in a better spot than it was last year going into the offseason for sure. Jonathan Daniels, Sandman, Lucas Simmons, a handful of other guys, Andre Otto, they got some guys, but they're going to have to get a couple portal linemen. We both know O-line is atrocious in the portal. D-line, they need at least 1 pass rusher, probably 2. Corner is a different kind of deal now because you're not losing 1, but 2 guys. One's left, Jerry Wilson. The other one hit the portal. Like there are some key spots in addition to quarterback where you're like, I don't know. And then if Deuce turns pro, like there's so many holes. I don't think you could fill this roster and make the playoff without somebody unexpectedly just being a dude that you didn't think was going to be, if not 2 of them. So why wouldn't you just dump the money? Again, you can go a million ways with the portal quarterback or quarterbacks. Spend a little bit there, make it a competition, but give it to Sperry and spread the wealth and freaking balance this roster in at least 2027. I don't think you can do it in 26. Do you, or am I off here?
No, I completely agree. Because think about this also, and I was just thinking this during the break. We spent, I think, $800K on DJ. And when he was horrendous and horrible, Mike was so scared to bench him because of what they spent on him. So I can't see us spending $2 million on a quarterback and then him, let's say he's terrible because Mike can't develop, and then say, all right, we're just going to put in Sperry because we need to bench somebody. I think you're better, like you said, spreading the wealth. I don't think Sperry's going to cost you as much as those guys. And then you should have some pressure on your quarterback that if I don't perform, I can be benched. In the last 2 years, we haven't had that with Tommy. I'm not saying Tommy deserved to be benched, but especially with DJ, where Mike just was so afraid to bench him because of what we invested in him.
It's so rough.
So I say spread the wealth. And that gives him an out to say, well, look, we spread the wealth. Give me 1 more year after that. Because he doesn't want to leave.
Well, I don't think he does either. I think he wants the money, and everybody's competitive. I'm not saying Norvell's not. He's just not a good enough coach. But
yeah,
how would let's switch this. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, you can say whatever you want about Cristobal on game day, but as a roster management guy, he's pretty good.
I have no insults about him anymore.
Yeah. How would you think somebody like Miami or Kirby, how would they handle this? Would they spread the wealth, or would they Kirby never goes all in on the quarterback in the portal?
No,
Ever.
he never will.
Yeah, he wants team first. He doesn't want to be known as and I mean, I know he's old school defense guy. Like, for those who don't know, he played safety at Georgia. He was that guy. He was really good too. But at the same time, it works.
Mhm.
This is something Bowden did. Like, he made Charlie Ward come up through the ranks. He told Charlie he was going to play DB, and Charlie proved him wrong. Like, that's a great story within itself. But at the same time, how many guys right now are worried that Florida State's going to portal over them? I think that's a big problem. And it's one of the reasons I'd rather them maybe struggle a little bit in 26, whether Mike comes back or not. And I know that's where this gets dicey. I'm afraid they're going to take a little more portal just to survive instead of building the program for the long term. Because again, are they really going anywhere in 2026 because they're losing so many good players off a team that only won 5 games?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see how they would do that, because I know Mario would go high school. Kirby 100% would go high school. Dabo obviously does. Like, Ryan Day hits a few guys in the portal. It is what it is. I was looking at a depth chart for Notre Dame. There's a chance they'll start, like, out of their 22 next year, like 20 will be high school kids.
Yeah.
Florida State's the polar opposite. It's going to be like 15 portal guys.
Yeah.
So they got to flip that at some point. You got to have that year where it's probably not going to be friendly.
No, and I think, and your people in the chat may think I'm being the negative guy. I think at this moment, unless something changes in the portal when it opens, that they're punting on the season, the admin and the coaching staff. I think they've already kind of told us that. You have to go young men. If you're punting on the season, why overpay for guys who are not going to help you? And you've already committed to bringing him back for another year. I don't think he's in survival mode right now. I don't think he's on the hot seat. Last year, it showed right away. So, yeah, I think this is what you talked about for last season. I think they're content for 5-6 wins this year. Or let me rephrase it, 6 or 7.
And they need to make a bowl, is my guess.
Yeah, exactly.
How to make it there and save as much cash in the process.
Correct. They spent a lot on coaches and getting rid of the old staff because they wanted 8 wins this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Now I think for Mike, they have lowered the bar going into 26 season. 6 wins.
I agree.
Get us to 6. So I think the bar for him is lowered, and that means you spend differently.
Yeah.
But of course, we don't know the numbers, so
yeah.
It's just
when we come back, how do you surround Sperry with the pieces that no matter what they do with spending, it at least helps him develop in one way or the other, whether he is the starter or not? Because come 27, they absolutely have to be in high school quarterback mode. That is next here on Locked On Seminoles. All right. This is the question that is most difficult. This is chicken and the egg. O-line is a problem this next year a little bit. Again, it's not near as bad as it was last year, but they got to take a couple of guys. How do you keep some of the other young linemen, both sides of the ball, honestly, if you're going to go in and get the Jason Jenkins and different guys coming in, offensive side of the ball, Medley and all these different guys came from UCF, et cetera. How do you support your depth chart, Jeremy, while not irritating the guy that might be a year or two younger that's ready to compete? That's why I'm always nervous when I hear teams we're going to go after the portal. Okay. All right. How's that going to go for you long term? How do you do that, especially positions, again, like O-line's a long, slow process.
correct.
Once the kid's ready to play, they finally have a nice foundation of young players on the offensive line, freshmen, sophomores, pretty good players. But you're going to have to go through growing pains. That's the one spot. Like, if you're going to help Sperry, he's got to see some of those young guys grow with him. And there will probably be some awful moments next year. That's kind of how it usually works for any program, not just Florida State. When redshirt sophomores are playing for the first time, or like right tackle, right guard, or whatever, somebody's going to be pretty good at North Carolina, Miami, Louisville, Clemson, wherever you're playing, But
you're going against grown men on the other side.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's why it's the hardest to break into on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, when they're 21, 22, 23, and you're 19.
Right.
Yeah, there's a big difference in the maturity level and the expertise, the
Exactly. I
waiting
was going to say
time.
they know the tricks in the book.
That's
That's
right.
why you see rookie defensive ends in the NFL have trouble right away because they're going against these
Bad.
tackles who 10, 12-year veterans know every trick in the book. So
it's a
that's
different
why
kind of
mine
game.
is. And my question to you is, it's hard enough to keep kids to stay. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I hate to correct myself. Young men to stay in the era of portal and NIL. When you're bad, like we have been the last 2 years, what's the incentive to stay? What's the incentive to say, all right, I'll let you portal, I'll compete? It works at the schools that are winning. You can sell young men then on, man, this is where you need to be. Compete. I mean, there's second teamers at Ohio State who have better chances to get drafted than our guys who are starters right now.
100%.
So I don't know how you sell that. That'll fall on Mike's message. Fans are down saying his message is just falling on deaf ears. If Mike can keep some of these younger guys, that might say something. I don't think that's the case. I think you're going to have to make a decision. Are we going young or are we going veteran in the offensive line again?
I think they need at least one veteran voice that's played somewhere. I'd be cool with that. And I doubt anybody would really complain too much other than the guy that gets beat out. But having all underclassmen that you can't go into a season with no starts or like one or two, like Andre Otto started a couple games, but he was terrible. They've got to put somebody in the lineup that knows what it looks like to go through a week of practice before playing Miami or something.
And that was the problem with this year. We didn't get young guys reps. Even when we were really bad, we were still playing these veterans who we paid a lot of money for. And we didn't give some young guys experience that would be so valuable going into next season.
Yeah, that is a problem. With that, let's switch it to the other side. There's some good young D linemen and linebackers. I mean, that's over under. I used to say 3. I think 4. Portal.
I don't know with Tony White's defense that you can get 4. So
I mean, you can get them. It's just
okay. Guys who actually make a contribution and make a difference in a game.
That defense is probably not the easiest to learn for a linebacker because it's a lot of zone, it's a lot of read. You need veterans, even if I think they should go to the IU route. Indiana took a bunch of FCS, MAC kids, etc., just a lot of experience. Can you understand scheme? Haynes,
well, the guys from his previous stop.
Yeah, they had 13 guys in year 1 from James Madison, 8 were back this year.
Correct, and knew the system inside and out.
That was brilliant.
Brilliant. That's why I was so happy when we got James Williams because I was thinking, he can be that leader. He knows Tony's scheme.
Stephon Thompson too.
Stephon Thompson. I was really happy when you got. It really wasn't the case.
Yeah.
But that was so smart of Signetti when he did that.
Oh yeah. Needless to say, he's an elite coach and they've got really good staff. But like Haynes' defense up there is not easy, and Aiden Fisher's their inside linebacker. It's an All-American. He'll play in the NFL. He's helped. They've had a couple other guys that transferred over. They'll help. But like Florida State needs somebody like that. I don't know how you do it now to come into and help like that linebacker unit. I'm a little nervous. I don't know if Blake's going to turn to another school. He's not good enough to go pro, but he's got one more year left. He's a California guy. Maybe he wants to leave. Maybe he doesn't. But Florida State needs somebody to step up because they were so bad in cover. Like the Pittsburgh game was one of the worst linebacker coverage games I've ever seen in college football history. The running back had 150 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Those are stats you don't see in the National Football League.
Would have been nice.
Throw to the backs a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to look at this from a perspective. They got to get one dude. They're probably going to have to spend at linebacker. Like that's the least likely spot to spend. And Florida State's going to do that. But all these players help with the quarterback situation. If you're not going to go all in and take that guy and what, again, you and I agree, they should go with Sperry, maybe get a backup out of the portal or something. I'd be cool with that.
But I'm also saying Sperry, just to qualify, I'm also saying Sperry because I don't think you can get one of the really good quarterbacks.
This is a pretty good portal quarterback group, but it's going to be really. I mean, if they kept everybody at receiver, this would be an attractive spot. I mean, Mekhi Danzy, Wayne McCoy, and Deuce Robinson, if they all stayed, yeah, I'd be in. But what are the odds of that?
But Gus's offense doesn't really
I
attract.
know, you throw deep. It's not a good quarterback development system
Correct.
for the NFL. It's not.
Correct.
So it's a college offense.
Yeah.
So be it. But I mean, if somebody like Sam Levitt came, could they tear it up? 100%. But he'd throw for 3,200 yards, but he's also got to run a lot. I don't think many guys want to do that. So
yeah.
What other spot do you think? I mean, linebackers like the obvious anybody can figure out. They need numbers, let alone talent. They need everything. Where do you think they're going to go? Because I don't think they're going to go numbers at pass rusher. I think they're probably going to go a little bit more, try to get the one splash guy possible. They need somebody else too. Maybe they'll take an FCS kid or something as well. And they've got the JUCO kid coming in. He'll play. They took all those people. Maybe they're just going to use the young guys there because they got some talented DNs in this class that are raw. I like the kids they brought in though. Those are some of the kind of kids that Bowden used to recruit, to be honest. The length and like some of them were under recruited. He was really good at that. But one portal DN maybe, and they got to get at least one dude in the secondary because again, you lost both your corners.
You need a few dudes.
What's
Have
that?
you still don't know if Little's coming back or not?
Yeah, that's kind of rough too.
So a lot of it is speculation on guys we think are coming back, but in the next 5 minutes could be making an announcement. Yeah. I still think you need help on the D line, but the secondary has been like dissolved in the last couple of days. So it depends on what you need. I mean, I watched our D line last year, and I shudder to think. I mean, we weren't good last year. I shudder to think what we're like without Daryl Jackson. We're high in the Desiers, and I love those young men, but they don't make their life easier. Yeah,
they can't.
Yeah, and we still don't know James Williams' status. Is he coming back? He has another year.
Yeah, Kevin Wynn, he was hurt a lot. I think he'll be a monster in the middle, but
yeah,
they got a couple other guys like Sampson and some others like
because last year's portal they threw bodies at the problem, and a lot of guys who really, I hate to say this, had no business playing at Florida State. This year, do you go more quality than quantity, or do you have to go quantity in some positions because you're so depleted?
Well, I think they went quantity with the recruiting class. That's why I think they'll go with one big name, maybe two, and just play the younger guys there. Yeah. And I forget the JUCO kid's name. The one JUCO kid they got can play. Okay. So if James Williams and him come back, and I assume Amari's he's got to be ready to. Somebody's got to start.
He needs one position.
Yeah, I think he's going to play DN now.
That's where he's better off at too.
Yeah. So and now, by the way,
I mean, we forgot.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Tight end now because of Landon Thomas hitting the portal. Pittman, is he coming back, etc. Like Sperry or whoever it is, you got to have somebody to throw to. Mm-hmm. So tight ends are such a valuable asset for a young guy. Like having a Landon Thomas, 6'5", 240, that's athletic would be perfect.
Runs like a receiver.
Oh, he's so athletic.
I watched his play again today against SMU last year.
Oh, yeah.
And he just got past the second level so quickly. They really dropped the ball with him. They really did.
I'm sure he'll probably look good in a Georgia uniform. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and I wish him nothing but the best.
Yeah. Last thing here, Jeremy, with all the stuff that's going on, do you think Florida State makes a bowl game next year? Right now, I'm on that fringe. I think they'll be pretty much where they're at next year. I think they're 5 to 7 wins, somewhere in that range. If everything hits right, they got to get by the way, at some point they got to have more luck with injuries. It's been insane the last.
That goes back to my strength coach issues and strength and conditioning programs.
That bothers me, but they've had so many guys just dinged. Landon Thomas, we just talked about, constantly in and out of the lineup. Jason Jenkins, constantly in and out of the lineup.
Summer injuries is now a new thing under Mike Norvell. Sorry about that.
It is what it is. So what do you think? Bowl game or no bowl game next year for the Noles?
Oh, your people might think I'm just a negative person. I'm really being honest, definitely not a bowl game. I think you're not going to have as good a roster as you did this year in a lot of ways. And you got a harder schedule. So no bowl game. No bowl game.
I've got them going 5 and 7 right now. If I had to pick, I think 6 is possible because the ACC is not that great.
Right.
But you play at Miami, you play at Bama. I mean, like, that's Clemson won't be as bad as they were this year. I'm just guessing. And you didn't
They're
even
always going to have talent there.
Yeah, they're always going to have talent. I know they got a new quarterback and all that, but they'll be better. So
you got SMU coming, who's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 6 is the ceiling for this team. I absolutely do.
Yeah. All right, for Jeremy Rock and Roll, make sure you check out his channel on YouTube. He does all kinds of vlogs and all kinds of different stuff. You can check him out over there. Thank you for joining in today, and make sure you come and see us every day this week. Even though it's Christmas, I'll have something up on Thursday and Friday. Merry Christmas to everybody. We will see you again soon here on Locked On Seminoles.